Hello from Iceland, the land of fire and ice. This adventurous island offers something for every type of traveler, from its waterfalls to caves, black beach to relaxing lagoons. You will find a place that will stay forever in your memories. We had an opportunity to explore this amazing country for 7 days with a campervan in winter. If you are planning to do the same, looking for inspiration for your upcoming trip, or just watching the island's natural beauty, this video is made for you. We arrived at Keflavik International Airport, and the adventure is officially kicking off. It's a small airport. It took us only 15 minutes to get out of the plane and get our luggage. Of course, we are coming from another Schengen country, so we didn't have to go through customs. We rent out our campervan via Camp Easy. They offered a free airport pickup shuttle. The rental office was only 10 minutes drive away. You can watch our campervan in Iceland video for all you need to know about renting and driving a campervan in Iceland in winter. For now, our biggest tip is to get the zero risk insurance package, including roadside assistance. We chose a campervan, but if we went back, we would opt for 4-wheel drive. We didn't have any issues, but it will be easier to drive on snowy and icy roads. The campervan has heating, fridge, duvets, pillows, a gas can and kitchenware. We checked into our hotel. This beautiful room there is ours. They're gonna stay here for a week. Every blog that I read, it said like if you're a first time camper, like Iceland is not the best place to be first timer. But we said challenge accepted. I hope I can say the same thing in 7 days. So cool. Of course, our first stop was a grocery shop. After getting groceries for a few days, we headed to our first iconic stop, the Blue Lagoon. The drive is about 20 minutes. A few weeks ago, the area was closed due to a volcanic eruption. So always check the road before heading to any destination in Iceland. You can easily check it from the Safe Travel app on your phone. And here we are. This geothermal spa is one of the Iceland's most famous attractions, and it's not hard to see why. Even though we arrived in the evening, we could see the crystal blue color of water. The water here is heated naturally by volcanic activities underground, making it warm and soothing all year round. Plus, it's packed with minerals like silica and sulfur, which are said to have all sorts of health benefits for your skin. I'm so happy that we came here first, otherwise with our packed road trip we would have missed this experience. We booked comfort admission. It includes the silica mud mask and the first drink of choice. You can get a premium admission if you want to try lava and mineral masks. After getting warm enough from swimming in the lagoon, it was time to visit the mask bar. I think it's too much for me. Should I add it? I'll send it to my hand. Don't forget to ask for the lip balm so your lips don't get too dry. It's frozen, let's wash it. The weather was getting cold and my hands and face were freezing. You should keep the mask on for 10-15 minutes. And now it's time for a drink.
Great, I'll get a red wine.
My face still covered. I really enjoyed the smoothie, and this whole experience freshened me up after the flight. These big wood containers, or the things that look like container, are the starting point. So next to them, it's like 40 degrees. The hot's point. It feels amazing. We enjoyed the lagoon until its closing time. It was clean and not overcrowded as I sometimes saw in videos. It's time to hit the road again. Bedroom is ready. First night, we drove so far today, it was unplanned. We just went to a parking, it was like a camping area, it was closed, the next one, and then I can't even pronounce this place, but we're gonna wake up to an amazing view. Good night from the day one. We woke up to this. We stayed at Thingvellir campsite. We will visit some iconic places along the Golden Circle today, so waking up here saved us driving time. The campsite is 4 minutes away from the park entrance. Keep in mind that almost every parking area is paid in Iceland and it approximates €7 per day. There is no hourly rates. This national park is listed as UNESCO World Heritage Site. This place symbolizes the history of Iceland. Iceland's parliament was founded here in the 900s. Many significant events in the country's history have taken place here. That's not the only uniqueness of this place. You can walk through the rift valley that divides the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. This valley is partly filled with the groundwater and is the largest natural lake in Iceland. This is the only place on Earth where you can directly dive between the two tectonic plates. During this visit, we decided to enjoy the beauty of Iceland as much as daylight allowed us, but we will definitely come back to do this amazing activity and many more. If you want to get close to waterfalls, crampons are advised. It will be cheaper to pack them with you rather than buy them in Iceland since everything is more expensive here. As per usual, you can find all the useful links in the description. We were very stubborn and decided not to get it. We managed to do all the walks. I have to admit, it would have been much easier with crampons. And here we are, at our first waterfall in Iceland, Snæfellsnes. Although it was half frozen, it still looked beautiful. Our next stop on the Golden Circle is Glaciers. The Glaciers Center has a cafe, restaurant and shop. Local woolen items are the best keepsakes from Iceland. It's time to see Glacier for the first time in our lives. You can see the steam coming out of every hole and stone here. Glacier is strongly related to earthquake activities. In the past, they had erupted so violently that they trembled all the valley around. It has been years since the last eruption of the Great Glacier, even though it's active. If there will be an earthquake, the glacier can become more regular again. However, its brother Strókar Glacier is erupting and can hurl boiling water up to 35 meters in the air. Being there feels very special. During our visit, it erupted a few times. We saw a double eruption and also a very high one. It's very exciting to watch it, hear it, and feel its warmth. After this exciting experience, we realized that we were hungry. We ordered Icelandic lamb soup and fish soup to get warm and full to continue our journey along the Golden Circle. If you're not by car in Iceland, you can explore the country with these cool vehicles. Another iconic stop is the Gullfoss, which literally means a golden waterfall. You can already guess that the Golden Circle name comes from this waterfall, and you're absolutely right. There are several viewpoints to see this majestic waterfall from different angles. We enjoyed the views as much as the wind allowed us. Our last stop along the Golden Circle is the Carrot Crater. The lake in the middle was frozen, so we did not walk there. In warmer weather, however, it should be possible to see the red volcanic rock around an aquamarine lake better. As the sun set, we drove to our campsite for the night. On the way, I saw people taking pictures of the sky, and I took one to see if there was a movement. I was too tired to notice that there was an aurora on the sky. Do you see it? Today is all about visiting the most beautiful waterfalls in the south of Iceland. Our first stop is Falls, locally known as Salmon Falls. I would say it's one of the most underrated waterfalls in Iceland. It's located on the longest river in Iceland and the last waterfall before the river flows into the Atlantic Ocean. In terms of water displacement, the Falls is the largest waterfall in Iceland, with 360 cubic meters per second. On the road, we saw a sign leading to a horse farm. We followed it and ended up at Hestheimar. Hello, beautiful.
Is it true that the horses and dogs are the best friends?
Some of them, but not all of them.
Seljalandsfoss is another unique waterfall on our route. It falls over steep cliffs, making it possible to walk behind it. Since we visited it during the winter, the path behind the waterfall was closed due to the risk of falling ice. You can walk along the cliff and enjoy small waterfalls from different parts. I couldn't resist and touch the water. Just wanted to see how cold it is. Actually, it was warmer than my hand. So I soaked my hands and then put gloves on. Now it feels warmer. But here's the best experience of the day. The hidden waterfall behind the cliff. Gylfby is located less than a kilometer away from the Seljalandsfoss, but it managed to hide itself from the visitors. To get closer, you have to walk through the water. I think so far this was like top experience.
Now
Waterfall.
we are wet bandits.
Waterfall inside of a cave. Like getting inside means you're getting wet. That's given. But totally worth it. Especially weather is this nice, sunny. And I felt cold before getting inside. I was like all covered, but after getting the cold inside, outside the sunny weather feels really good. On the way, we stopped by a small town. We parked the van and enjoyed a cup of coffee before chasing the next waterfall. The scenery along the road is insanely beautiful. The water is flowing from every possible place, behind every stone, over every cliff. This makes driving this road even more enjoyable. You can see how magnificent it's even from the parking area. Skogafoss is the famous Game of Thrones waterfall in Iceland, where Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen rode dragons and landed near the stunning cascades. There's a stairway to the top where you can see the waterfall's starting point. During the journey, I stopped several times and wondered if it was the right decision to climb up, but the view was totally worth it. This was the most beautiful dinner view we had on the Iceland trip. At night, we went northern light hunting until 3 a.m. Although the prediction showed that sky would be clear, it was not. The odds were not in our favor, so we ended up sleeping at 4 a.m. and starting the day late. It was the cleanest campsite we had stayed at so far, so we took a shower, freshened up, and hit the road. Jökulsárlón is Iceland's most famous glacier lagoon. It has not been around that long. It only formed around 1935. It was due to the rapidly rising temperatures in the country from the turn of the 20th century. Jökull has been shrinking at a dramatic rate and the lagoon has begun to fill its space. Today, the expansion of Jökulsárlón is accelerating. In 1975, it had less than half of its current surface area. In the relatively near future, the lagoon is expected to grow until it becomes a large, deep fjord. I wonder if we will be able to see it then too. Right across the glacier lagoon is the famous Diamond Beach. You don't have to pay for parking separately. Also, since we stayed at Skaftafell campsite, we got 50% discount on the parking here. The beach gets its name from the large and small chunks of ice that are washed to its black sand coast. The ice blocks on Diamond Beach come from the Vatnajökull glacier. Every time you visit the beach, you will see a different scenery. How beautiful is that? Be careful when you walk close to the ocean or take pictures along the beach, as the ocean is not the most merciful thing out here. We saw waves taking away photographer's tripod as he ran away from the sea. But if you keep a safe distance, you can enjoy walking along the black beach. We also saw seals swimming through the waves. At first I was worried about it, but later we learned that there is even a beach in Iceland where they gather to rest. We will come across it later on our trip. It was our last day enjoying the south of Iceland, and now it's time to drive to the east. Another short, beautiful stop on our ring road trip was a sea view point close to Snæfellsnes. In the evening, we were tired and hungry and still had more than an hour of drive. I'm grateful that Hotel Staderborg accepted us for dinner, so we could have delicious food and rest a bit. I also had a chance to enjoy live music played by my husband. We stayed at Stader for the night. One of the most beautiful sights in the east of Iceland is Still Canyon. This was going to be our first activity of the day until we got stuck in the snow. Now we're stuck. We overestimated the capabilities of our campervan. Although it was not an impassable or off-road, it was heavily covered with snow. Within a few minutes, we saw a snow cleaning car passing by the main road. Luckily, he decided to be our savior. So, within a few seconds, we were out of the snow. All of this happened within a few minutes. We weren't worried because our insurance covered all these accidents, but we would have lost lots of time. If we were not lucky and also didn't have extra insurance, all this would have cost extra €1,000. Next time in Iceland, we will also make sure to ask the car renter to put a rope in the van. After the adventurous morning, we arrived at the main entrance of the canyon. You need to walk down next to the parking area. Oh boy, the steps were covered with ice. Some parts were challenging, but the moment we saw the beauty of the canyon, we were in awe. Since it was covered with ice, we didn't walk down to the river. However, in summertime, that should not be a problem. But there were still people walking down. The natural formation of basalt rock columns was impressive. Our next stop is Waterfalls, the most powerful waterfall in Europe. We were not lucky this time. The last kilometer of the road was impassable. As we followed the ring road, we arrived in the Mývatn area. This is also a popular geothermal area with bubbling mud pools and steaming fumaroles. Close to Hverir, you can smell the sulfur gas coming from the earth. As it has been several days since we swam in a lagoon, we decided to head to Mývatn Nature Baths, the Norse answer to the famous Blue Lagoon. It has a large milky blue lagoon, steam baths with a view, and smaller hot sitting pool. We enjoyed the evening here. If I were to compare it to Blue Lagoon, it was less crowded, didn't have masks or smoothies, but offered water, which is essential to keep you hydrated in warm water. After a relaxing evening, we drove to our campsite near Akureyri. Today, we are driving to west. Our first stop is Reykjavik waterfall. Only a few meters away from this beautiful view is a geothermal pool, Fossluch, which means waterfall pool. Along the way, we got very close to Icelandic horses. They seem really fluffy. Several farms offer 2 or 3 hour horse ride excursions. You might think you're tired of seeing waterfalls or craters after spending a week in Iceland, but that's never the case. The 170-meter high Grabdor crater is the largest crater in the Grabrokarun lava field. You can climb to the top of the crater and enjoy the panoramic view. This place is insanely beautiful. Every time I'm like, okay, probably this is the best scenery, best view, and then we go up or just make a turn and it just escalates. So beautiful. Okay, I need to know. Be careful here to not fall. Perhaps one of the most beautiful waterfalls we have seen in Iceland is Hraunfossar. This waterfall is very special as the water flows underground before it appears from the walls. You cannot see a starting point of a pouring water. Its crystal clear blue color water is from the Longjökull Glacier. As you cross the nearby bridge, you can discover a second waterfall, Bernafoss. During the trip, the van started signaling that the back doors were open. However, they were frozen, so we could not open nor close them. Luckily, we were close to a hot spring.
I think this is the most underrated places. It's right next to Krama Spa. It's just boiling water coming out of this place. It's insanely beautiful.
Deltartunkurver is the highest flowing hot spring in Europe. You can feel the heat of boiling water behind the fences. Of course, we could not gather hot boiling water. Krama Thermal Spa is located right next to it, and the water flowing from there is warm. Elmer filled bottles with warm water, and as he poured it over the doors, they opened.
Yeah, wow, it's happening.
You do not need hot boiling water to melt ice. Also be careful not to pour the hot water over the glass, as the rapid temperature change can shatter it. Today we are visiting the settlement center in Borgarnes. It's the only museum we have visited in Iceland. It has two exhibitions. The first one takes you back to the Viking Age and walks you through the history of Iceland. We learned about the first Vikings to arrive in Iceland and the first settlement across the island.
The first settlers, right? As known.
The vegetation was so dense that even after settling here, people still traveled by water. We learned a lot about the island during this interactive tour, and with the new knowledge, our perspective toward the places we had already visited changed. The second exhibition is about the legendary Viking and poet Egil Skallagrimsson. As we learned more about Egil's saga, we were also introduced to their daily lives, sports and traditions. The second tour was more mystical, filled with old Viking beliefs and sorcery. The audio guides are well prepared and take you through the history. After the tour, we had dinner in the settlement center restaurant. I had mashed fish and potatoes while Elmer enjoyed a hamburger. We arrived at Snorrastadir farm holidays to camp for the night, and when we opened the door to leave the van, we saw the beauty. We drove a bit away from the campsite to enjoy it even more. It was not the strongest aurora, and the show we saw in Lapland was more magnificent. It was still beautiful to see them and feel the magic. Two tools can help you to predict where and when to see them. One is Aurora app. It shows the prediction and cloud coverage during the night. The second one is the Space Weather Prediction Center website. It shows a short-term forecast of the location and intensity of the aurora. There's also a very active Facebook group in Iceland. When the northern lights are visible, almost within a few minutes, people share alerts and pictures so you can head out and look up to the north. I had the best sleep after seeing the northern lights show. On our last day on the road, we will enjoy the nature of Snæfellsnes Peninsula. Gerduberg is a row of perfectly shaped hexagonal basalt columns that run along a cliff. This perfect shape is a result of a river of lava running off the cliffs in equal flows and the sea rapidly cooling them. You can also climb to the top of the cliff. Further on the road, we stopped at Alkelda Mineral Spring. Here you can taste naturally carbonated mineral water. The ground is red from the high amount of iron in the water. People have different opinions on the taste, but I kind of liked it. Did you know that there's a beach in Iceland where seals gather to rest? It's called Utritunga and it's known as the Seal Beach. Seals and Icelanders have an interesting relationship. Seals were vital for their survival. They used their meat, fat and skin to survive the harsh times on the island. However, seals also appear in folklore as a mysterious and beautiful selkies. Unlike other Nordic countries, Iceland did not depict them as evil. It was fun watching them swim and enjoy the sun. Arnarstapi used to be an important trading port. Today it's popular among hikers who enjoy the cliffs and rock formation on its coast. You can already spot the huge Bardur statue from the parking lot. According to an Icelandic saga, this half-troll, half-man was the protector of Snæfellsnes Peninsula. We started our walk around the coast and enjoyed the view of the natural arcs. There is one that you can walk on, called the Stone Bridge. It was actually more narrow than I expected. We spent quite some time here enjoying a cup of tea and the view. As some roads were impassable, we decided to head to Reykjavik for our last night. We ended the evening at Sky Lagoon. We ordered soup and some toast. The food was delicious. We had the Sky Pass, which also included the private changing area. The entrance to the lagoon was beautiful. It felt special as we swam in the warm water surrounded by walls. And this is why it's called a Sky Lagoon, as the pool seamlessly meets the sky. There are several packages and you can enjoy this place with the basic one. In our case, the only 7-step ritual package was available to book, so we followed the steps. The first one was getting warm in lagoon, followed by a cold plunge. After that, you can enter the sauna with a beautiful ocean view. After the rising heat, you walk through a refreshing cold mist. The 5th step is the Sky Body Scrub. You gently massage the scrub into your skin. Don't rush into washing off the scrub. The next step is the steam room. The steam will help to absorb the mineral elements of the scrub and hydrate your skin. The last step is relaxing shower before going back to the warm lagoon. Overall, it was enjoyable, but definitely not a must-do. It was the most crowded lagoon, and you can still enjoy it without following the ritual. On our last day, we woke up in Reykjavik and went to Greikkaturinn for breakfast. Greikkaturinn means the grey cat. There is an Icelandic saying that if you linger around the same place for a long time and frequently, then you're like a grey cat to the place. And here, it's time to drive back to Keflavik to return the van. We had to return it by noon, however, our flight was the next day at 6 am. After a smooth process of returning the van, the company offered the shuttle to our hotel, so we checked into Aurora Airport Hotel. If you arrive in Keflavik at night or have an early morning flight like us, this is the place to stay. We ordered dinner via the Volt app and saw Aurora from the window. We could also get a bus to Reykjavik and return in the evening, but after 7 days of traveling across the island, the rest was needed as we are heading back to busy work schedule. Breakfast is served at 4 am, so we had breakfast before walking to the airport. I felt the bittersweetness of leaving Iceland. 7 days is definitely not enough time to absorb all the experiences the island has to offer.
In total, it took us around 70 minutes, leaving the hotel, coming to the airport, giving our luggage, and then passing all the controls. We are in the free part, and it means our Iceland trip came to an end.
We will be back hopefully soon. I hope you will find this vlog useful and inspiring. Subscribe to my channel not to miss the coming adventures. Happy travels!